Hi, Brad from Foundations here. Welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be breaking down the word freedom, which is a very big word, just a big buzzword in the world of business, but also in almost all practices, and just a huge human desire in the hierarchy of needs that we want freedom. So I'm going to break it down from a business perspective, but also from more of a Buddhist perspective, a more of a spiritual perspective. What does it mean to be free? And this video is for anyone who wants to make that decision to be free within themselves, but also in business, and just what the heck does that word really even mean? And let's have a little bit of a discovery on that right now. And by the end of this video, I hope that you are able to live both of these definitions fully in your life, or at least embody parts of both. So let's get started. Well, when I started in business, I think this is really common for almost all entrepreneurs of some kind, is we want freedom. That's really why a lot of people get into business. That's why I got into business. I was really inspired in my early business life by the book, The 4-Hour Workweek, which some of you may have heard of it, but the essence of that book is really targeting freedom. That is what it is all about, how to live the life you want to live and build business on the side and be free. And although that book served me in the early years, it also led me really far astray. And I'm not going to get into that right now, but what that book was really trying to outline for people is how to free themselves using business. So in business, what does freedom really mean? And a lot of people, when they think freedom in business, they first immediately lump in financial freedom, right? Freedom of finances. So I'm going to write it down here, kind of acquire. So how do you acquire the resources that you need to, this is how I basically break it down now. It's how do you acquire the resources you need so that money cash flows to you passively in order to fuel your desired lifestyle. And it can be a long journey. It can be a short journey, but there's a lot to break down in the conceptual understanding of what is my desired lifestyle, how much is that going to cost, and how do I generate the passive income I need to actually accomplish that. So in my early years, that's really what was driving me. It got me into real estate and buying dividend stocks and all sorts of stuff like that, which are all good things. But really what you're doing is you're acquiring money. You're acquiring the money that you need to fuel your desires. That's what it means in the business world, for the most part. Obviously, these are loose terms, but that's why we have to discuss them. What the heck do these concepts mean, right? And that is basically how I would describe it, is acquiring the money to fuel, acquiring the money you need to fuel your desires. And part of the issue becomes is that your desires keep expanding as you start going down this path. Sometimes they call this money creep or lifestyle creep, but as we start to have more in our lives, we grow into a person and you start desiring more, and that's actually the foundation of goal setting in general, is that you start to want more and desire more, which means you need more cash flow to fuel the desires, and then you have more things to manage. And in many respects, this is the exact opposite of what it means to be free in the Buddhist realms. This is a path of acquisition, of getting more, which ultimately becomes more which you have to manage within your mind, right? I don't have a crazy amount, but even me managing all the stocks and all the different investment properties, those kinds of things clutters your mind, because you do need to track the things that you supposedly own, right? The things that you own in your life, you need to take care of them. You have to care for them. Otherwise, what's the point of owning them? So this is a path of acquisition for the most part in business. And don't get me wrong, I like that stuff. I like doing this stuff. But over time, it starts to be a lot of things that you have to manage within your own mind, all the different things you own, and building this flows that all funnel in so that you can continue to expand your desires. Now, in the Buddhist realm, or more of a spiritual perspective, we would call this freedom, which is really something that you do within yourself. It has absolutely nothing. It's a fully internal experience. It has, whereas this is a very much of an external. So I'll even. So this is an external pursuit. In this realm, if we go with more of a Buddhist perspective, what they're really doing is the path of letting go, of non-attachment. It's a path of non-attachment. Ceasing to have attachments to all of these things and having less. In fact, if you go further enough down the path, it's about having no attachments to anything. You're completely free of attachments, and you're letting go. It's a path of letting go. And I really, this really hit home for me, actually, one time when I was out in Africa, and when I was out there, and I remember reading about a tribe, and in their language scheme, they had no words for ownership, like in their language. So inherent, and your language really dictates what's possible for how you think. It's your ability to think about the world is dictated a little bit by, or quite a lot, by how you think. So if you don't have a word for ownership, then a lot of this doesn't actually make a lot of sense conceptually. And that really struck home for me, was just realizing that like this whole idea of ownership doesn't make a whole lot of a sense. But what we've done in the Western cultures, we've really attached ourselves to an idea that you can own things. Like, I own the shirt. Like, it only works, like with that tribe, that wouldn't actually make a lot of sense, or have a lot of context. Or like the idea of owning land wouldn't make a lot of sense, because in cultures like that, or in those types of tribes, their way they think of the world is like, we belong to the land. You can't own the land when you are a product of the land. It's backwards. But it really gets you thinking about how the whole intention for this type of a video is to get us thinking about the way we're thinking about our own world, and the way we've defined the different words in the language that we're using, right? Freedom is not black and white. Your understanding of freedom is not black and white, right? This is, in business, it's the acquisition of money to passively fuel our desires. Within a Buddhist perspective, freedom would be the relinquishing of all attachments, including so you don't own anything, right? There's no such thing as ownership. You're moving down a path of consciousness where you no longer have that attachment. You're not reaching outside of yourself to experience the feeling of freedom. Because ultimately, that's what we're all looking for. Whether it's business people, Buddhist, spiritual monks, whatever it is, it's the feeling. That's what freedom is. It's a feeling within yourself. And this path, I would say, and I would love to hear your comments on it, is a path of a little bit more fleeting. You might feel free for a bit, but then you're kind of at the mercy of the external environment. If something changes in the stock market, if something happens to your rental property, your freedom is getting affected by things outside of you, outside of your control. You've created a conceptual construct that you're not really free within yourself, because it's based on what happens outside of yourself. And for me, this is not a position that I want to build my reality around. So that's what really opened up this clarity of the difference, right? So I've done a video in the past on goal setting and the non-attachment to goal setting. And it's really the same thing. Goal setting should be something you do for fun. It's an enjoyable process to set goals, but I don't want to get involved with the idea that if I hit this goal, then I'm going to be a more fulfilled and more improved me, because that day may never arrive. And the same goes in business, is that freedom is something I want to feel within myself as I go on my journey. And I can still take these actions. I can still go get money and do all that and buy investments, and you should. I mean, you should or not, but I like doing that stuff. But I want to be doing it for myself from a place of love, because I like doing it and it's fun. I don't want my whole essence of freedom to be based on whether I have certain things or don't have them. So anyway, this video is really just a little bit of a breakdown of how you can really start to define words like freedom, which are big words that get thrown around a lot. And I just wanted to bring some awareness to a word that I hear all the time. And if people have really thought through what it means to be free, what does it mean to make the decision to want to be free? Is it an external action, or is it something you cultivate from within yourself? You feel freedom regardless of what's going on in the outside world. Anyway, I hope that helps, and I'd love to hear your comments on this stuff. I'm very early in my own development of really breaking down all these different types of conceptual frameworks, and for more videos like this, just let me know in the comments, and I'll continue to break down some of this stuff. Have a good day. See you in the next one.